Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Heather. I'm an intuitive counselor, author, animal communicator, artist, energy healer, and coach, and I'm on a mission to empower and embolden others, maybe such as yourself, to connect with their divine radiant light and honor the sacred connection with all life. One of the ways I like to do that is with a monthly energy forecast where we talk about what kind of energy is coming up for the month. And how can we navigate it? How can we ride the wave and keep ourselves happy and safe and vibing and all of that? So even though I am wearing a very thick long sleeve sweater, we're talking about June 2023, and I'm in the Northern Hemisphere. So maybe I'm feeling a little empathetic with my Southern Hemisphere friends. Actually, it's just really chilly today, and I am a little delicate. I'm a little cold-natured, a little sensitive. So I just bundled up today. So don't let that fool you. We're talking about June. And I pulled these messages through as a channeled transmission from my team of guides who are multidimensional beings in different realms, spirit realm, angelic realm. They're galactic beings, a big kind of party, a little council, a little I don't know, like a little meet and greet. Everybody comes and shares and crafts a message. And usually I kind of tell you what the message is, like I'm translating it. Like I heard the conversation and I'm going to share it with you. This month, I decided to do something a little different. And so I wrote out, as I was receiving the message, I wrote it out and I'm just going to read it back and then we'll talk through it a little bit. So here's the message for June 2023. Dear ones, as a new month approaches, consider your focus. Know that there are some rapidly shifting scenes and therefore some blurriness in the lens. This is a natural phenomenon as high vibrational energies are working in micropulses to dissipate the denser energies. The energy now is like that of a controlled burn. There is heat and flame and chaos, but it allows for new growth on fertile soils. Many of you are feeling a shift, a sense of displacement or imbalance. Root yourself in love unconditionally, forgiving and parting ways with your past. The baggage you carry of regret, uncertainty, and guilt has no place on this journey. Release and trust your faith in all being well. For your uncompromised belief about the future sows the very seeds from which it blooms. Too often, you're allowing what is prospective to determine your perspective. And the nature of reality is the reverse. Your perspective determines what is to be, what is prospective. Consider light in this equation as well. Light. Love, integrity, gratitude, honor, and truth. And adjust your focus as needed to call in as much light as you can. Regarding perspective, a wide depth of field allows you to see more, but often results in a darker image, for the choice is clarity or illumination. Illumination is not certainty. It is a quality of faith of being. It is inspiration. With a shallow depth of field, you won't see everything in perfect focus, but what you do see is bathed in glorious light. As scenes on the grand scale continue to appear diluted and polluted, go within. Go within in love. Go within in faith. Go within in forgiveness. Go within in gratitude. Tune in, tune up, and guard your perspective, for it is a powerful tool. Remember you are both the one and the many. Remember you are loved. Remember you are love. So that is the message that came through for June. And the theme or the word that we're focusing on energetically is perspective. What I really liked about this was the sense of, or the calling out of the fact that some of us are feeling a little out of balance and a little off kilter lately. And what I hear from many of you is that you're almost feeling more of a density, more of an inability to kind of find your gear, your groove, your intuitive pulse. And as it was explained here, that's natural right now. That's the period of energy we're going through because we are collectively and individually being bombarded by high vibrational energy. When that high vibrational energy comes into such a dense planet, such as ours, in such dense conditions and events and circumstances, it causes this blurriness, as they explained it, or this feeling of like a little bit of jarring. To me, the image that I'm seeing looks like the early days of animation where you would draw the figure, you would draw the very next tiny little move, and then you would draw one and you would flip between. But that's not a smooth transition. It looks a little staticky. That's what we're feeling right now. That's what a lot of us are walking through, and it's okay. It's actually reflective of the fact that this high vibrational energy is coming in multitudes, just huge quantities of it, but it has to meet up against the density that we have here. I also liked the energy or the image of a controlled burn. So for those who may not be aware, and we can talk about the ethics or the opinions of it another time. There are sides of the issue, as with anything. But often, park management or land management groups will burn pieces of forest preventively to kind of die down or kill off the undergrowth to allow for new growth. But it also creates a fire break. And if they're doing it, they can control it as opposed to a natural fire breaking free. So coincidentally or not, because it's me, as I was working on the messaging for June, I thought I would go out in nature and happened upon a forest that had a controlled burn. So I was kind of like, oh, we get to walk through the message in real time and kind of get a new perspective, that's our word, on that. And in this particular instance, it is an old growth pine forest with huge, tall pine trees. If you've never been in a controlled burn forest, of course the fire is all gone. The burn happened months ago. But what you see from about 3 feet down to ground level is black. Everything is charred. Even looking at pine needles or pine cones or sticks or debris or anything on the ground, it's all blackened. There's a soot around it. Looks like everything kind of got char grilled. But the pine trees, because they have that really thick bark, it's almost like a mosaic. It's just super thick. They're fine. They're a little black, but no harm came to them. So what happens then is that ash from the fire goes into the natural soil and makes this really nice, fertile growth opportunity for what is coming next in the forest, for the little weeds or tiny plants to start to grow. So that's what we're going through now too. We look around and we feel chaos, we feel challenge, we feel the heat turning up, although, not me, because I'm sitting here in a sweater at the end of May, but that is likened to the controlled burn, where there's a purpose to it because we're going to have fertile soil going forward. So as we are facing those challenges, if you can keep that in mind for yourself, it can be really helpful. Another interesting thing that I came across as I was walking through the forest, because again, it's me, animals tend to come and make the messages or reinforce the messages for me. I had the passing thought, I thought that what happens to like the littler animals, the lizards, the snakes, that can't fly away. Like a bird can fly out when it senses danger in the form of a fire, but what about the little things? And the immediate message I got was they find a way. They're okay. The controlled burn works for them as well. And I thought, okay. And I did a 180 to turn around and walk back down the trail that I had just come up that was fine and clear. And I look about 7 feet down the trail, and there's a huge rat snake curling herself or slithering her way across the trail. And because I'm me, and because that's a safe snake, I sat down and had a little animal communication chat with her. And she validated that, yes, it's actually easier for her to navigate around now, and she doesn't sense as much danger because she can see more things because there isn't that undergrowth to work her way through. So, fun fact there as part of the monthly message. I also liked in the message the breakdown of the word light, because sometimes we think or we talk about light as just this airy-fairy kind of topic. Yes, love and light. I live in light, be blessed with light. But they're giving a very practical interpretation of how we can garner and stoke light within ourselves. And it is love, integrity, gratitude, honor, and truth. So in any circumstance, especially the challenging ones, can you bring those 5 elements to that situation? If so, you're bringing more light to it. Going to the conversation about depth of field. If you're not a photographer, that might not make a lot of sense to you, but if you imagine maybe a picture from a wedding with all the bridesmaids lined up, right? It's got a lot of things in focus. The photographer has to boost the level of light coming into the camera, because as you want more things in focus, the light decreases. We can bring that light to us, but the message here was, if you're looking at so many things, which a lot of us do, we want to know what's going on in the world, because so many things are shifting and changing. What's going on in industry, in healthcare, in government, politics, whatever. But the more we do that, we can get clarity on those things, but we sacrifice some of the light. And if you think of it too, often when your attention is pulled into all of those things, you feel a little dark, because there aren't necessarily really great things happening in those different arenas right now. Whereas in contrast, if you are focusing on smaller things, on yourself, on service to others, on what you can control, that's light. You are bringing light to that situation. You're sacrificing or trading off on the clarity of the wider focus, but you have more light, you have more joy, because you are focusing smaller scale. So neither is right or wrong. They just wanted to illustrate the point of that being a choice that we have. So yeah, I also liked the phrase that, speaking of that wider perspective, it can feel like things are getting diluted and polluted. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm hearing the messages, I'm like, oh, that's really good. I like that. That was one that I was a fan of. So that's that. Let's take a look at the art. And again, if you're new here, part of my process for the monthly energy is to channel frequency art. So what is frequency art? Frequency art is basically everything you just heard in that message encapsulated in geometric, colorful art. So if we're looking at perspective, which is the phrase that we're focusing on for June, this art piece is the energetic representation of perspective as it is now in June 2023, or about to be June 2023. You can see a lot of geometry in here. You see what I call some maybe perspective lines, where if you are familiar with art, there's a way of drawing where you kind of force the perspective of the drawing so that things look closer, farther apart in relation to one another. There is also the same shape repeated 4 different ways to show us or illustrate that it is your perspective that changes things. The other thing in the message that I really liked was the play on words between prospective, like what are your prospects? What's coming up? What is looking good out there in the future? Versus your perspective. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you bringing? And the fact that so many of us wait for the good news, the good thing to happen, the prospective thing. And we let that determine our perspective. We're not even waiting for the good part of it, but seeing what's out there, and then that determines your perspective. Oh, I'm going to be, cranky and shut down and not reach out because look at the world. It's so chaotic. Well, that's letting the prospect determine your perspective. And it should be and is always the reverse. So I didn't want to forget to call that part out. But here's the art. You can download a watermarked copy, which just means it has my name on it, because people, unfortunately, take the art and sell it other places, which is just kind of not nice. But the watermark doesn't change the frequency or the vibration of the art at all. I'll put a link in the description box below. You can also order a signed copy on fine art paper that I mail to you personally from me, and or a metal print, or a lot of different things, a lot of different options for the art. How you can work with the art is use it as a journaling tool, put it up in your house around you. Sometimes people will put them on their phones, and so every time you're looking at like your lock screen, you're tuning into that energy. There are frequencies and messages and healing baked in here to help you tune in to perspective. I was also guided to talk about, for those who resonate with the chakra system in the energy body, working with and calibrating your solar plexus chakra. So how are you with issues of self-confidence? How are you with things where maybe the ego does need to step forward to keep you safe for a minute, but you retract back into yourself because you don't want to step on any toes? Issues like that, they're saying, it's time to kind of deal with that for yourself, or take an accounting of it for yourself and work with whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. Work with an energy practitioner such as myself, work with journaling, with meditation, to kind of get that solar plexus chakra in really good health going forward. The team also said you can work with the crystal citrine, which is kind of a clear yellowy, to also help heal things that need to be healed for you in regards to the solar plexus at this time. So that is it for the month of June 2023. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. It means so much that you tune in. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing as we go forward into this next month. And I will see you again in about a month's time with this message, but I'll be back online before then with different things. But thank you again for tuning in. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.